at that stage in my life, and I was 22. It was the worst day of my life. Absolutely no question, and it was for some time until maybe more important things than football happened to me. But yeah, absolutely devastated, and it took me weeks to get over it. And I think it took the team a long time to get over it because I think our league form after that wasn't great. And as a result, we fell away from the playoffs. We came back with a late season surge and then we lost at Leicester. And it was just absolutely horrible. It was, the worst day. And that's, bearing in mind, I saw us, close to dropping out the league in 87 and close to closing, in 1982 and obviously under Bruce Osterman. But, just that feeling of being so close. And I always think that you can almost chart our long-term decline from being a team chasing the Premier League to a team dropping into non-league from that day, because Peter Johnson at the time was starting to look at Everton and maybe moving across the water to take on a bigger challenge, because I think he'd been disappointed by the level of support that he'd often had on the Wirral. And I think had we won that game, had we got to the final, whether we'd have beaten United or not, who knows? Maybe he would have stayed and maybe we could have pushed on again later into the 90s. But of course, we lost. We didn't go up. Everton somehow stayed up against Wimbledon. He moved. And, our history changed. I know that we hung around in the Championship for a long time and eventually reached a League Cup final, but it was in different circumstances. We really were the underdogs in 2000. In 94, we were a really good team. We were a Premier League team in waiting, potentially. And I think, had we won that Villa game, things could have been different. But it was a long-term downward spiral, but in many ways, you could chart it from then.
But on the coach coming home, we had something set up in order that we had been the final at Tranmere. And we went upstairs and a lot of the players let the frustration out on, let's just say, the room upstairs, because there was a lot of things that people weren't happy with that the players did, and we shouldn't have done, by the way. It weren't me, by the way. And there was a lot of things that happened, and players were called in the week due to certain things that went on. Frustration, honestly. Our form really did dip. It did affect the players. And although we did get in the playoffs for the Premiership, it was hard going for the players after that.
I think I know who was the main protagonist that night, because I have been told his name shall not be mentioned. But I believe the bar took a little bit of a bruising, didn't it?
And so some of the pictures above the bar as well, with players' photographs on them, they did, yeah. Absolutely right.
Just in terms of the moment as well, to go back to it, the real cruel sucker punch, if you like, is the fact that Bosnich, who saves those penalties, shouldn't have been on the pitch. And that's what makes it even more frustrating, Higgy.
The penalties should have been better penalties then. I'm going so far to say that. Because who knows, Nigel Spink might have saved more. You just don't know. It's all looking back at ifs and buts. We should have defended better over two legs. We should have scored better penalties. We're putting it down to referees' decisions, which I totally agree with about the referee, by the way. He should have been off, but it is what it is. You move on. You don't settle on that. You try and get ahead of yourself. Let's get up into the Premiership, which should have sort of ironed over that semi-final, would it not? We would have said, forget that now, look what we've achieved. And it's just a pity that certain things went against us on the two games.
And even against Leicester in the playoff semi-final, we should have had a penalty at Prenton Park. There was a clear handball inside the penalty area, and it was a 0-0 draw. We didn't get the penalty, and then we lose at Leicester to a last-minute own goal when we were going through an away goal. So, it was a season that I don't think the club ever really came back from. I know we got into the playoffs the following year, but I always felt, and Higgy may know because he was in the dressing room, there was just a lack of belief in the back of our minds that we could make that step to the Premier League. Maybe not week in, week out, but we had opportunities that season. We had opportunities the following season. We beat Bolton on Good Friday, went top of the league, 5 games to go, didn't win any of them. It's just Just something that never quite happened
Very
for us.
inconsistent, that then, isn't it? That I didn't know that, to be fair, Nigel. That is inconsistent. Not a good mindset, although we were going into games confident. We just thought we're up and again. Is our luck going to change? Or should we not worry about that and say, let us deal with it. Let's be professional. Let's deal with the last 5 games. We couldn't do it. Why? I don't really know. We definitely had belief. We definitely had the players up for it. It just didn't seem to happen for some reason. I just can't put a finger on it.